Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back as we try to get in focus. It is Thursday, June 29th, 2023. We have a few birthdays that we will talk about here in a minute. Got a couple events we'll talk about right now. On this date, 1991, Terry Labonte won the first ever Busch Series, now Xfinity Busch Series race at Watkins Glen. Terry would go on to win several of these races in dominating fashion. Looking through the races, there weren't really any significant races, and in fact, there were only 4 Cup races ever held on this date. My guess is during this time span, you have Father's Day on the front end of this time frame, July 4th, which that's going to be a busy day for us upcoming on the back half of this kind of week. So, and I apologize for the camera not staying in focus. It's just got a mind of its own today. But the 4 Cup races are as follows. 1952 at the Michigan State Fairgrounds in Detroit, Tim Flock was winner of a 250-mile race there. 1957 at Piedmont Interstate Fairgrounds, Lee Petty won that race, short track race, of course. 1958, 1 year later at Asheville-Weaverville Speedway, Rex White would win that race. And 50 years later, Kurt Busch would win at Loudon. So between 1958 and 2008, there were no Cup races run on this date. So let's get cooking with these birthdays so that the camera will actually stay in focus. So born on this date in 1962, part of the Petty brothers group, not Lee and Maurice, but Tim Petty. Of course, Richie and Mark are his brothers. They are the son. He is one of the 3 sons of Maurice Petty. But here's a little information about Tim. Of course, Tim and his brothers run a YouTube channel called Petty Brothers Racing. Go check that one out. Lots of great Petty stories, artifacts that they show, talk about the team's history, and a lot of neat things. Our next birthday, born on this date, in 1959, he was a journeyman Cup driver from the late 80s to early 90s, and just kind of disappeared. He does do TTM, because you've seen a couple years ago I did have a couple cards come back from him, and he lives in the Houston, Texas area, and his family has always been in the mortuary undertaking business. Mr. Eddie Bierschwale. Eddie was a contender and runner-up for 1985 Cup Series Rookie of the Year, driving for D.K. Ulrich. He's driven for Elmo Langley and Roger Hamby as well. His best career finish came in the 1989 Daytona 500. He started the car, but Kyle Petty drove most of the race. Eddie had qualified, Kyle did not. So Kyle took over driving duties after the first caution and recorded a solid 10th place finish for Eddie and his team. Eddie did win the ARCA race at Texas World Speedway, I believe in 1992, is what I had read. Our last 2 birthdays, pretty big hitters in NASCAR. Born on this date in 1967 and is a current commentator for the NBC on NASCAR broadcast, Mr. Jeff Burton. Jeff was the 1994 Cup Series Rookie of the Year, has several wins in Cup, but we're going to start with his Busch Series career. He drove for J&J Racing. Actually, he drove for his own team and then Sam Ard. Then got his own team. J&J Racing was the team that he got his first win for, the number 99 Armor Car. Actually, the 12 car. I can't remember if it was his team or if it was Sam Ard's team, but they got a first win for that at Martinsville, and then 99 got a couple wins there. Then he moved over to Philmar Racing in the 8 car with TIC Financial. Then they picked up Baby Ruth sponsorship after it left Jeff Gordon's number 1 Busch team. Then in 94 he moved up to Cup with the Stavolas. You see 94 and 95, a couple of different uniform looks there. 96 moved over to Roush, got Exide sponsorship, and you'll see the Exide uniforms changed a few times over the years. During this time, he was also a Busch Series competitor for Roush. There's that bright yellow track gear car that he ran, and then in 2000, Exide bailed out. Sitco came on board near the end of 2000 and stayed on till the end of 2003. Then 2004, they had some rotating sponsorships, SKF, Scott's, and some other folks. Then he left and he went to Childers, replacing Robbie Gordon in the 31. There you see the singular. Then they had the fiasco with AT&T, and then that went away. Then they ended up, of course, when he was with Childers, he drove the Holiday Inn Busch Series car for a little bit. Then they picked up cat sponsorship on the Cup side. So let's show you some of the cars. This is that 99 Armor Meets car that we were talking about that he ran for J&J Racing. There's the number 8 Stavola Brothers Ray Bestis Breaks Ford. Another look at it. Then they changed the paint scheme up in 95. Got a couple variations of it here. You got one with the red letter or red numbers, one with the blue numbers. Other than that, not really anything different. Maybe they're just trying to get the number to show up better on camera. Of course, the Roush cars, the X-Side sponsorship, that blue and lavender color, I guess. They'd switch it up here and there. And there's what it looks like when they went to the Taurus in 98 from the Thunderbird. Then they went back to a lot more of that pink color. And then this was the final X-Side sponsorship. Go back and find a picture of Johnny Benson's Aaron's Dream Machine. And it's very, very similar. The number 10 car that Benson ran at the end of 2000. Painted up very similar to this one, but that was the X-Side scheme before they bailed out. Sitco took over in the end of 2000. Like I said, stayed on for a couple years. There's a nice look at that SKF car. Then we have the Roundup, Scott's. Of course, Carl Edwards picked up a lot of these sponsorships when he got on board. There's a good look at the Singular car. AT&T car pretty much kept the same paint scheme, just changed brandings. He did move over to Caterpillar and ran that car for a minute. And then I do believe, I can't remember which way it went, he either closed out his career driving some Michael Waltrip racing for the Aaron's, number 55, or he ran in the 14 for Tony Stewart when Tony was on hiatus after that sprint car race in that, what was it, in New York State. I can't think of the name of the track. Canandaigua Speedway, I believe is what it was. And then our final birthday, born on this day in 1980, former Cup and Xfinity Series champion, MTJ himself, Martin Truex Jr. So I don't have a lot of cards. I have a lot of MTJ cards. I didn't want to show you a lot because they're almost all Bass Pro and Tracker. But this is when he was driving for Chance 2. Won those titles there. Of course, his first year he had a lot of rotating sponsors. His second year pretty much was Bass Pro year-round. And there you see, I mean, the Cup here on the right, the Xfinity or Busch on the left. Not a lot of difference other than, Chance 2 to DEI. Then he went over to Michael Waltrip Racing with Napa for a little while. Then they had Spingate. So, much like Kurt Busch, he used Furniture Row to rebound. But, unlike Kurt Busch, he stuck around a lot longer at Furniture Row and ended up doing some really, really great things, including winning the 2017 title. They picked up some sponsors, as you see, from Bass Pro and Tracker, as well as 5 Hour Energy, and Auto Owners Insurance was one that kind of picked up with him for a little bit. Currently, he drives for Joe Gibbs and the number 19 with Tracker, Bass Pro. Pretty much all the same sponsors except for Furniture Row. So there's a good look at that number 8 car, one of the many the paint jobs that they had on that car. There is the DEI number 1, Bass Pro Tracker. There's a 56. There wasn't really a lot of good cards of this particular car, but it's a Napa paint scheme, blue and yellow. There's the Furniture. I don't have one of the Chevrolet, but they ran Chevys for a couple years, and they went to the Toyota. And the one thing that I liked with the Toyota, or not with the Toyota, but Furniture Row, is they ran that matte black finish. It just looks super sharp. And again, there's one with the Tracker and Bass Pro logos, Bass Pro NRA, and then 5 Hour Energy. And then we come to today with the Bass Pro and Tracker. So there's our birthdays, events for today. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Make sure you come back tomorrow. Not sure what we're going to rip just yet, as always, but we have fun figuring that out along the way. So thanks again for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.